Amid current South China Sea tensions, the current Philippine government has pushed the fishermen to the forefront of the conflict. The Philippine military recently announced a plan to form maritime militias to encourage more fishermen involvement in the dispute. This begs the question, are these fishermen truly willing to become frontline forces in a battle against China? Let's find out. This is Masinloc, a Philippine town close to China's Huangyan Island in the South China Sea. Located in North Philippines and about 125 nautical miles from Huangyan Island, Masinloc is a peaceful seaside fishing port. Fishermen are busy plying their trade and selling their catch at the morning market before 5 a.m. every day. According to Western and Philippine media narratives, the fishermen of Masinloc seem to have become a radicalized group in the Philippines, willing to confront China. How true is this claim? Will we be met with hostility here? Let's go to the morning market and find out more.
Pero ilang bangka po po tayo?
Dalawa lang po yung dito sa Masinloc.
dito sa Masinloc。
Opo.
在Masinloc这里的话，只有2艘船，一艘船有15个人，所以总共30个人过去钓鱼在那个黄岩岛。以前2019年的时候，我不大清楚它日期这是多少，但是呢，以前还没有碰到那个水的话呢，他们都很友好他们一起都在那边钓鱼，都是好朋友这样的。
新闻有报道说，菲律宾官方会比如说把一些渔民作为这个海上民兵，就 military militias， 去就是在黄岩岛保卫他们的土地。他有没有听说这个情况？如果他遇到这种情况，他会不会去？
Nakakatakot naman po yung gano'n, siyempre.
他也怕了，如果有这种的，但是他也没有听到，他也怕。
Well, during our talks, more fishermen just come back from their fishing expeditions, and we ask the same question to them.
Punta mga fisherman and invite ang mga fisherman para protektahan yung Scarborough Shoal na pupunta pa kayo and what 他也不想去连如果政府想派他们过去他本人不想去 dito na okay na 他说我们还愿意在这里捕鱼赚少一点的钱都 OK 了我们都已经满意了我们不想过去那么远的地方然后我们也不知道要做什么这样的
Wala.
没有他说没有
namin yun.
没有但是wala pa rin kayo napapalitan na government
Wala po.
没有他说没有 Would you join? Sasali po ba kayo o hindi? Hindi. Ayaw po参加.
为什么？
Bakit daw?
Wala po, nakakatakot po kasi ang layo.
他也怕因为有一点远对他来讲的话是有一点远
最后一个是说他应该也从新闻上看到了中国和菲律宾现在在海洋问题上的这个争议那作为渔民有什么想表达的吗
Okay. Sir, with regards to yung di ba nabalitaan ko na may problema dito about China and about sa yung Scarborough Shoal or natin sovereignty. Ano ang pakiramdam mo sa bagay na yan?
Ano na lang po, para makapag-isda ang bawat isa sa atin, ano na lang po, parang mag-ayos na po tayo.
Thank you. 感谢。他就是说希望这个会找一个办法，好办法。所以呢，我们当地人，特别当地人，不会影响他们。
The local fishermen were all surprisingly friendly to us, so our initial nervousness gradually worn off. The fisher folks here we spoke to expressed no interest in joining any militia or directly getting involved in the current government strategy against China. On the contrary, they are seeking more peace and cooperation, as the current tensions have indeed disrupted their fishing activities and dented their incomes. Their responses sharply differ from the sensational narratives created by local media outlets and some politicians with ulterior motives. As our trip to Masinloc came to an end, our tour guide told me that there should be no conflicts between Filipinos and the Chinese, as their friendship can be traced back several centuries. The next day, led by our tour guide, we visited Chinatown, located in central Manila. This is one of the oldest Chinatowns in the world, built in 1594. As early as the Spanish colonial era, the Chinese people were trading here. This could be the earliest proof of China-Philippines friendship. The landmark is full of Chinese elements, including Chinese-style lanterns, dragon lampposts, and a Chinese food shop. It is just like walking down a street in Chinese city. You may be thinking, it is not special to see those elements at Chinatown, but our next stop may provide another evidence of friendship.
Along with my first stop here in Manila today, I found another interesting imprint of Chinese culture here in St. Augustine Church. This is the oldest church in Manila and is a popular tourist attraction. You know what I found here? 4 stone lions in Chinese culture. It's so rare, and this is the only one in the world the church equipped with 4 Chinese stone lions.
Now, it is not difficult to feel the deep roots of friendship between China and the Philippines. So, how do common people here view the current state of bilateral relations?
Of course, when nationalism, being nationalistic hits, like you only want something for your own country and not being able to relate with one another, there are people that are bound to get hurt. Like what's happening in the South China Sea, or some may say the West Philippine Sea, like that boundary in between. Everybody just have someone they love and they need to return safely without getting harmed, without the risk of being dead. And I think this needs to move on peacefully with talks and of course agreements.
Dialogue.
I think Filipino and Chinese are more unrelated on some way because it started a long time ago. If we're going to hear any news from media on our side, maybe it's a little bit off because maybe it's one-sided story. So we don't know, as a normal people, Filipino people, we don't know for sure what's going on. So we don't know what's the other side of the story. I think it's much better if we establish much friendlier or approach, like because we hear some disputes, something like that. Sometimes it's very hurtful and sad because we expect that we do have some connections in some way because we're Malaysians.
The setting sun slows the pace of life in this beautiful city, with people enjoying a leisurely evening. And the friendly faces I encountered during the day stayed with me, making me wonder who was really to blame for the escalating tensions.
Where I am now is the location of Philippine Coast Guard headquarters. It's called South Harbor, which directly faces Manila Bay. And we can see that different types of maritime vessels are located here, and BRP Barilago is one of them.
The BRP Malabrigo is an official Philippine Coast Guard vessel which has repeatedly engaged in illegal activities near China's Huangyan Island and Ren'ai Reef in the South China Sea. Since the beginning of this year, the Philippine side has tightened provocations and collected more fishing boats to invade the waters near Huangyan Island. So, what has led increased provocation by the Philippine government? some influential Philippine figures may have the answer.
You know, there is a quarrel going on because there is America telling everybody, okay, you fight, do not be afraid because we are here. It's antagonistic and hostile. It is forever a cycle of incongruity. We are not enemies. If ever China hits the Philippines, which we understand, it's because the Americans are here. But it can never be a China-Philippine war.
I feel bad about it, that the Philippines is not balancing the relationship between China and the Philippines, but exerting a more pro-Americanism in foreign policy. So we need to depart from this over-reliance from the United States. It's okay to be friends with the US. It's okay to be friends with Japan. It's okay to be friends with everybody, okay? But we need to be, we don't need to be reliant on anybody. And that's what I feel about this current government, that it's heavily relying on the United States to advance our position in the South China Sea. And that kind of reliance is truly hurting Philippines-China relations. It's raising the risk of the Philippines getting involved in an armed conflict. And I hope when that situation comes, China will exercise more patience not to act against the Philippines, because it's not, the Philippines is not your problem. You know, your problem is the United States.
They want the United States to be involved in the controversy through the Mutual Defense Treaty. And I think they're dreaming, because I don't think the United States can be involved in a third conflict, in addition to the ongoing Ukraine and Middle East conflicts. No? And I don't think the United States will risk its national interests involving China as its #1 trading partner and just to defend us over a shoal and rocks in the South China Sea. So I think it is a misplaced belief that America, whom our leaders consider as their big brother, will come to our assistance.
During our time there, we discovered that the Philippines is a beautiful and diverse country. Filipinos wish to establish friendly and cooperative relationships with countries around the world rather than being paused in a geopolitical standoff by anti-China countries. The Philippine government should earnestly listen to the voices of its own people and formulate policies that align with national interests and the will of the people. Only by doing so can the Philippines achieve true national prosperity and happiness for its citizens.